Evening, gentlemen and ladies. Ladies are also welcome. Welcome to Glasshammer's Monday Night Mashup. Normally hosted by Manny, obviously, but being as he's still away, knee-deep in maths equations and what have you, I'm back. This is the last week that I'll be hosting it. Manny will be back with you as of next week once he's finished all his exams. But as promised last week, I'm back with a tournament roundup of what happened at the winter warm-up last Saturday at Element Games. I took the list that I want to take to Cali. I had 3 really good games. I learnt a lot in all of them. And so I just thought I'd come on and let you guys know exactly what happened, what lessons I learnt. I've shared pictures of the armies that I played on the Glasshammer website, so on the Facebook page, so jump on and have a look at those. They were 3 really, really well painted, really nice armies. And they looked awesome. They looked really good. So I think I did share my list last week that I took. So hopefully, what I'll do, I'll post it in the chat here for you. Oh, it's a bit long, but there you go. So there's the list that I took, that everyone can see. I think it is really good. I think it's really broken. It's great. It's good fun. Ryan Webster, good evening. Got a combo from Vigilus. Oh, I am interested. Please tell me. I played a couple of these Vigilus special detachments on the weekend, which I'll go through with you. Yes, I am very interested, Ryan. Please tell me more. You have got my attention. Right, let's not make it too long. Let's get right in. So my first game, I played against a very well-known player. Worldwide, he is an international player. He goes everywhere, playing in tournaments all the time. Mr. Mark Cromblehome, absolute gent. Everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. He was playing what he's been playing for quite a while now. I think as soon as the book dropped, Mark started playing with Dark Eldar and started taking Talos and stuff like that. I know he's been experimenting with Kronos as well recently, but for this tournament he had 9 Talos, 3 Ravagers, an Archon, he had some Witches, he had some Rangers, a Farseer, a Warlock, the kind of typical Dark Eldar kind of with some Eldar sprinkled in for Doom, really. I played Mark. Mark got first turn, which I wasn't really, overly bothered with because I used my Warlord trait that I took actually, which is Old Grudges. I was using the CP reroll, get the CPs back before, so I was trying out Old Grudges this time, and it is amazing. If you are playing Guard, you need to use Old Grudges. It's just insane. I can't believe that that I hadn't seen it before I picked up the Guard Codex. It's class. So I nominated a unit of Talos, which what it does, I pick a unit before the game starts, and all my Guard units that are within 6 of my Warlord reroll wounds against it, which with my 3 Punisher commanders is just so broken, so incredibly broken. It's mad. So I picked a unit of Talos, and he kind of came forward. I tried to null deploy him as much as possible. I deployed out of range of his Talos, and the Ravagers got a couple of shots off. Didn't really do much. So I came forward. I think I killed a couple of Talos and a Ravager. Because the Ravagers were what really was threatening the tank commanders and the Dark Talons in my list. So I thought it best to take those out first. And then Mark moved forward again. Again, he didn't really do a fat lot of damage in that turn. I think he killed a Warglaive and damaged a tank commander, but that was about it really. But then this was it, you see. So his Talos had moved and advanced right up, kind of in front of me. So I thought, I think he had 5 Talos, and 3 of those Talos were the unit that I had nominated with Old Grudges. So I was like, oh, I'm clearing them so easily. So I moved a Warglaive up, and also behind those were his Farseer and that lot. So I moved my Warglaive up right in front of them, and I thought I'm going to clear these 5 Talos out with my tank commanders easily, like not even close. And then my Warglaive was going to go in to clear up the characters. But then I thought, you know what? If there is 1, maybe 2 Talos left, the Warglaive can come in, charge the Talos, just so they couldn't charge my tank commanders. Because once the tank commanders are in combat, they're pretty naff then, really. So yeah, I did that, and I mean, my rolling was fine. I think I rolled quite well, actually, considering I was hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, rerolling to wound. But I killed 1 Talos, and Mark saves were just on fire. Like Mark, take 11 saves, and he passes 11 of them. Then Mark, take 9 saves, and he fails 1 of them. It was like that for an entire turn. So I ended up only killing 1 Talos, which just blew my mind. Like, I know they're tough, but if you get the run of those saves, those 4-up invuns, it's oh god, they're so good. Really, for their points, really good. So I thought, it's okay. I've got a backup plan. I've got my little Warglaive here. He'll go in. He'll tie up those units, and keep my tank commanders shooting for another turn. So then I charged my Warglaive in, and the bloody Talos hit with everything, wounded with a load of things, and killed him to the wound. And I was gutted. I even used a CP reroll to try and pass another save, but no, it didn't happen. And then my 3 tank commanders are stood in front of 5 Talos and a few characters as well, and that was it then. I mean, you could have called the game then. So Mark, as the gentleman that he is, he came around the table, he gave me a hug, he apologised for his dice, he bought me a drink, he then went back around the table, and as a good player should, he took advantage of it and absolutely smashed me. He tied up the tank commanders, like kind of slowly killing them. I mean, that's 120 Punisher shots that I lose a turn, as well as the heavy bolter and the plasma cannons. And then he kind of slowly wore down the Imperial Knight over in the corner, which again only killed. That Imperial Knight was in combat for 3 turns, and I think it killed a Talos. My Gallant, my combat knight killed one Talos. They're amazing. Yeah, that was it really. He kind of, and then he no boots on the ground me. He again, as a good player should, he kind of ignored the Dark Talons, concentrated on my units on the ground. Finally chewed through the last tank commander, which let him get to my Warlord. Killed him, and that was it really. That was the end of the game. So kind of a big lesson learnt there for me, in that I was confident that I could just move up and kill those Talos, but it wasn't close. I don't know what the odds are, but considering I was so far off my original thoughts that I killed 5 Talos and I actually only killed 1, I probably don't kill them all. But again, it was the Warglaive dying as well that kind of really sealed the deal. So that was it. Yeah, that was it really. So that was my first game. But like I said, I can never complain about a game with Mark. It was good fun. It was a good laugh. And So on to 0 points for me in game 1. Before we go on to round 2, Ryan has replied. You'll look Wyvern, Master of Ordnance, and 2 mortar teams. Vestroyan in the Emperor's Wrath Artillery. Take the Warlord trait and the Relic. The Wyvern with the Strat is shooting 8d6 shots a turn, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, rerolling wounds, ignores cover, and 6s have AP -1. plus 6d6 mortar hits, all for 200 points. Oh my good God. That sounds incredible. Ryan, I think I think you've broken the internet with that comment there, mate. I think everyone in the chat is copy and pasting your comment right now, and they'll be going through that book because that looks absolutely awesome for 200 points. That's really cool. Well, luckily the list submission for Cali isn't until tomorrow evening, so there might be a bit of rejigging going on there. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll look into that. Thank you for the tip. Really appreciate that, mate. So everyone, if you put that in your Cali list and you see Ryan, you have to buy him a beer. That's how this works. Tasty tips like that deserve beer. Anyway, on to the next round. I played a young man called Alistair. Posted up pictures of his ad mech on the Facebook page. Looks awesome. He had one kind of Castellan robot like ripping a gene stealer in half, and there was blood everywhere, and it was really cool. But I did actually take the lists off all my opponents, but I seem to have misplaced them on the way home, so I can't go through exactly what they had. But really, I mean, the ad mech was he had two Helverins. He had 4 of the kind of ad mech things that shoot flyers that are on kind of legs. They look a bit like spiders. Yeah, he had Call. He had 2 of the robot with all the guns. In fact, he had 2 units, and they all had guns on them. Apart from he had a combat one in each squad, which was quite nice because the combat ones are actually doing quite a number on my knights as I was charging them in. So that was quite nice. And they had like 2+ saves, which I mean, they're toughness 7 or something like that, and they with the 2+ save, they were really hard for me to get rid of. And then they were bouncing mortal wounds back on every time he was rolling a 6 up on his invuln. They're really tough little units, and also this was the first Vigilus detachment that I played. He used the Vigilus detachment with his Castellan robots, and what was really good was it allowed him to use a strat to move his robots and act like they hadn't moved. That was it. It turns his weapons into assault weapons. So with both of his Castellan robots, because the AdMech have a strat that also allows you to do that as well. So he was able to move around with these robots and shooting them. I mean, the one big thing with them is that they're quite immobile, and they struggle to get into position. So with these 2 strats, he was moving them around and getting them exactly where he wanted, which I thought was really good. I thought that was a nice little trick, and a way to get around that unit's weakness. So yeah, that was really good. He got first turn in that mission. He killed like 2 Dark Talons because he really didn't like the idea of those coming over, because I think he'd played against Dark Talons before, and the person was flying them over to snipe characters out, like Call that he had in there, or some of his. He had like the kind of the tech priest running around giving the robots reroll 1s, that kind of stuff. So yeah, he got first turn. But what he did do, he deployed a lot of his stuff in the middle of the table, which is exactly what he needed to do. But he deployed 1 unit of robots off slightly to the side because the objectives were spread out. And that allowed me to then, I kind of gave up controlling the outer objective, deployed my whole army on the one side. I measured his threat range, and I managed to get everything out of range of those robots. So that kind of eliminated that 1 unit for me. But even still, it was still quite a rough turn. He did quite a lot of damage. But he didn't expect the Gallant to move as quick as he did, because I started him right at the front. I always give him the 2+ save and the 4-up invuln to boost up to a 3-up invuln, because that's great. And then I run the Gallant straight forward. I think I got like a 5 on my advance, I used the advance and charge stratagem on him, and I made my charge, which was kind of long. I think it was like 8 inches, something like that. So then, once he was in there and he was just causing havoc, I managed to touch one of those robot units in combat, which was great to stop them shooting for a turn. Because he had those combat robot, the one combat robot in there, he was punching that. I think he was like flat 3 damage, so he was doing alright. He was kind of wearing the gallant down, and then the two my two warglaves kind of run up as well, and it was just, I think there was a lot of threats there, and I think he did make a mistake in that he saw how good the gallant was doing, so he shot everything into the gallant. And he tried doing like the mortal wound strats and that kind of thing, but obviously the Imperial Knights have a stratagem to ignore mortal wounds on a 5, so I used that. I bumped his run up to a 3+, and I mean that's what he's there for in my list, so he did exactly what I put him there for. He just absorbed a lot of that firepower, and I think you could see afterwards Alistair was thinking, maybe I should have shot something else and kind of screened the the gallant out. But yeah, so that worked a treat. Also, one thing that I was using the gallant for, and nearly every single one of my opponents forgot about it, was that the gallant is a character. So you charge him forward, he charges something and kills it, but then people kept leaving units within 3 inches of him, so he was heroically intervening, and so that was one really cool little trick that I was doing each turn, and yeah, and when you've got all these threats in your face and you're really trying to figure out what to do, it's hard to remember all these kind of things. So that worked out quite nice. Also, the warglaves this weekend, they actually did quite well. I mean, their shooting is very up and down, but the threat that they pose, the table presence that they have with that gallant, actually worked really well. Worked better than I was expecting. And I mean, I really want to love warglaves, so I might be wearing some, rose tinted spectacles at this point. But they actually did alright. Because when they're crast as well, they're re-rolling their hits when they go in, and they've potentially got 8 attacks with their sweep thing or 4 with their saw. So when you go in and you're re-rolling your hits, which I was forgetting to do initially when I was playing with them, they're actually not that bad. And I mean, for 160 points with a melter gun strapped to their arm and a fair few attacks, it's they were all right. I mean, I recommend people try them, and I do think crast really helps them. I think they have to be crast, otherwise they're just hitting on 3s in combat. It's a bit lackluster. But with that reroll, I think they're really good. So yeah, that was that game really. I mean, once the gallant was there and the warglaves made it in as well, the warglaves tied up his Helverins, the gallant was go around tying that one unit of robots up, and the tank commanders just kind of rolled up and started taking care of things really. It was that one initial charge that really kind of won me that game, to be totally honest with you, because it's a hell of a lot of firepower, re-rolling all those hits and everything from call, even with minuses and whatever attached to them. Really, really good. So yeah, that was game 2, and my last game, my opponent will have to forgive me, because like I said, I did take his list off him. I'm fairly sure it was Matt that I was playing, and I'm if you're watching, mate, I'm really sorry that I can't remember your name for definite, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Matt, and he was playing Guard. Now, he had 2 Vigilus detachments in his army, and they were awesome. They were really good. I mean, well, he had 2, and it wasn't even the one that Ryan's mentioned in the chat. And they were really good. So Guard have come out. I tell you what, Guard are probably the hardest hitting, like, turn 1 army you can get now. Oh yeah, Matt McCourty. Yeah, it was Matt. That's all right. So I did remember you, mate. Don't worry. So basically, his army, he had 3 tank commanders. He had 30, 40 guards, just normal guardsmen. He had some mortars in there. He had a Valkyrie and some plasma drop. some plasma drop guys, and that's part of that Vigilus kind of formation. What else did he have? He had a shadow sword. That was it. We rolled off, and I got the whole. I lost the roll off to choose deployment zones, so hopefully I was going first. So I based it all on that. Really, I deployed everything on the line because that shadow sword, its damage output is just insane. So I knew I just had to go for that. So my old grudges went straight on that, and the big mistake that he made was that my tank commanders are Vostroyan, so they get the extra 6-inch range on their cannons and their weapons. Dan, stop saying All right, I'm coming up with this. I know I've not written this down. I'm coming up with this off the top of my head. Give me a break, love. Oh God, I did it again. So, the Shadow Sword is awesome. It puts out a really, it's got a volcano cannon. That's it. So its volcano cannon is heavy 3d3, strength 16, -5, 2d6 damage. You re-roll wound rolls when you target a Titanic unit, i.e. my big gallant, and it also adds one to hit rolls if it's targeting Titan. So it's a night killer, is what it is. It kills knights so well. So I genuinely think in this game, because I put out a lot of damage in my first turn, and he came back and still he killed a lot, just because of all these little tricks that he has with these Vigilus formations. So I was really impressed, and I know for a fact that if I didn't go first, he was probably smashing me, and I wouldn't have seen it coming. I was really impressed with it. So he didn't realise that the extra quantum shields, Jason. That laughs a shadow sword off like it's nothing. That's a good point. So so he deployed his shadow sword in range because he didn't realise my Vostroyan guys had an extra 6-inch range. So I put old grudges on those, and I just emptied the tank commanders into them, and just that many shots. I killed the shadow sword with my tank commanders. That's how broken that warlord trait is. Just wounded on 5s, re-rolling to wounds with 120 shots. It's just madness. Just crazy good. So killed that. I mean, I just run my gallant straight at it, because I was even going to take I think it was like a 10-inch charge to it, but I was taking that just because that thing had to die turn 1. So, but at the end of turn 1, I managed to kill that shadow sword. I killed a Lehman Russ tank commander and a half. I put another one down to like 6 wounds. I killed like 25 guardsmen and the mortars as well. Oh, in one turn, I was over the moon. I said to Matt as well at the end of that, I said, if you'd have offered me half of that at the beginning of my turn, I'd have snapped your hand off, and then you could have had your turn. There was no way I expected to kill that much, which kind of really shows the kind of killing power of the list that I'm taking to Cali. I'm really happy with it. But even then, so the one that I got really excited about with the Vigilus formation that he used, he had some plasma guys in his Valkyrie, and so he can fly the Valkyrie like 45 inches, and I'm pretty sure all of you will know that you can drop the guys out of the Valkyrie anywhere kind of along where it landed. But with this Vigilus formation, they can do that, and they don't die on the roll of a 1, which is great. But then they get +1 to hit when they come out as well. So because they are Minotaur, what are they? Minotaur and Tempestus, something like that. They get extra hits on 6s, or they can roll to get extra hits on 6s. But because they get +1 to hit in the formation, they get extra hits and whatever on 5s and 6s. And then they have an order to re-roll to wound against tanks. So this these little 4-man guard unit dropped out of this plane, and just nuked a tank commander. It was my Lehman Russ tank commander just like wiped him off the face of the board. I couldn't believe it. And then the other one was shooting, and then the plane killed off the unit of guard that was stood there. And I mean, I don't think that's that much, you know. A Valkyrie and two plasma units, like command squads. They're really not that much, and they put out so much damage. So I mean, if you imagine him, and you can do that turn 1, which is great. You know, they're not deep striking out; they get out the plane. So that's really important, and also as well, I think they still have they're restricted by the 9-inch rule still. But yeah, that plane just going straight into Tempestus Scions. That's the one, Matthew. Thank you. Yeah, that plane just kind of flying into your deployment zone, turn 1. Those guys emptying out, putting out all that damage. I was really impressed with that. That's a great little formation, and one that I'm certainly going to look into. I was really, really impressed with it. His other one was, but his tank commanders as well. He had 3 tank commanders, and he had, what's his name? The Caledonian tank commander guy. I've gone blank, but he had him. He had the relic battle cannon as well, which is really nice. Just flat 3 damage. That was putting out loads of, and he had a Punisher guy as well. He put those into a Vigilus detachment, and they have the rule is that they can re-roll. They re-roll their hits on Overwatch, which is amazing. I'm thinking that with my 60 Punisher shots is awesome. So you re-roll that, but then you can use the stratagem to bump them up to hitting on 5s on Overwatch. They're hitting on 5, re-rolling all their hits. That's potentially really good for 1 CP. That's amazing. But the real kind of shining, the little stratagem in there, which you don't think is massive, but it really is that there's a stratagem in there where they can move their full 10 inches and they still benefit from the grinding advance, which is that you can fire your turret weapon twice. That's great. That will catch a lot of people out, that will, and yeah, you really need to know that. So you know, when you're looking at that I mean that takes my Vostroyan tank commanders from a 30-inch range plus their 10-inch movement, and then they can still fire that twice. That means my Gatling cannon, my Punisher Gatling cannon with 40 shots has a threat range of 40 inches, which is massive. That's really, really big. I absolutely loved that. So I think that was well worth the CP investing in that. So yeah, there's 3 detachments there from guard guys, which I think are awesome. The one that Ryan mentioned, the plasma one with the plane, and the ones with the tank commanders to make them Overwatch on 5s. Pask, thank you, Imam. Pask, that was the one. He had him, but Pask was the one that died first. Obviously, if you're going to go for any of the tank commanders, you go for Pask because he's a badass. So yeah, so that was it really. Yeah, so because I went first, and I like I said, I managed to kill that plane. I killed the tank commander. Matt still did a really good job. He still killed a lot of my stuff. He put up a real good fight. But I mean, losing all. I mean, what's that like? Oh God, I hate to imagine how many points that is. That's like 800, 900 points turn 1 is rough, really rough. And I just kind of because my knights and everything were up front. Then it was the mission where you score points. It's like a progressive mission where you score points for being on the objectives in the corners. So I was kind of racking up the points then because my knights had gone over and taken control of 1 quarter. I had my quarters, you know, so the points were going up. The Maelstrom I was doing well on my Maelstrom as well. So he tried really, he did try hard. He put up a damn good fight considering, but it was always an uphill struggle after that amazing first turn that I had. So yeah, that was it really. So I 2-20-0s and a loss for me straight away on the first game. But I was really impressed with the list. The Warglaves did better than I expected. I'm actually starting to love them slightly. The Gallant with the 2-up save and the 3-up invuln is just broken to high hell. In in my opinion, it's just silly. The Dark Talons, actually, they were probably the thing that disappointed me the most on the weekend. They're because their cannon on a 3+ does D3 mortal wounds, but it's only if you do damage, and it's D3 shots hitting on 3s, maybe 4s if it's flying, and their bombs are great. Love their bombs. Oh God, I wish they could do that every turn. People were really taken aback by how good they were. But yeah. Also, one thing I did see in the Codex that I used a couple of times on the weekend was the strat in the Dark Angels book for Speed of the Raven, which lets a Raven Wing unit advance and still fire normally. And on a so obviously with a flyer, when you advance, you just move an extra 20 inches. So that means I could move one Dark Talon 60 inches, drop a bomb and shoot all its weapons. It's great, catches people out. It's a really nice little trick that you can pull out the bag. So if any of you guys do decide to take some Dark Talons or whatever, that's really tasty. It's a nice trick. I'm really looking forward to someone deploying some Reapers at a range behind a wall. and then those Dark Talons flying straight in and dropping a bomb on them and pumping all those bolter shots into some juicy Dark Reapers, because man, I hate Dark Reapers. I really don't like Dark Reapers. So that's nice. What have we got here? Matthew, plasma strat depends on your opponent's screening. It can be nullified, Matthew. I agree, but it's a lot of people now, because of the turn 1 stop on the what's it called, on the deep striking. People don't tend to screen as much turn 1 anymore, and especially as well because the game that I played Matt in was Dawn of War. So I mean, it was really and like I said, for me to put the pressure on Matt, I had to deploy my stuff on the line, because I really needed to get in range turn 1 and do some damage. Otherwise, he was just going to wipe me off the board. So, sometimes in that occasion, there was no way I could have screened against that. So it's something great to have on turn 1 when people are stuck in their deployment zones. And like I said, people aren't really taking that screens as much anymore. I mean, a good player should always take a screen in units, but and its damage potential as well is huge. Gallant, I prefer the Sanctuary Relic, so you can have a 4-up in running combat. Yeah, Matthew, that's true. The reason I didn't take my Gallant as my Warlord, purely so I would have options, so I can take different things. His that's normally kind of the only toss-up, to be totally honest with you, whether he has a 2+ save or he has the invuln in combat. So normally, if people have like the Blood Angel Smash Captains or any kind of characters that are really good in combat, that tends to be when I take Sanctuary instead of the 2+. And then Warlord trait, like I said, it's normally always the give him the 4-up invuln, but sometimes Landstrider, if you don't need that invuln, if people don't really have a lot of minuses. I think I played Mark a few weeks ago, actually, Mark Rummelholm, and he didn't have the Ravagers. He only had the Talos, which were only -1. He didn't have any big minuses. So I took Landstrider instead, because I knew he would never put me on he'd never take me any, with my 2+ save, he'd never take me higher than a 3+ anyway, so. So that's the big selling point of Knights, is you can kind of tailor them to your opponent. So yeah, that's why. But yeah, Sanctuary is brilliant, but it's, like I said, it just depends what the opponent's got in his list. So yeah, that was my tournament. Absolutely loved it. Element's brilliant. It's got the tournaments that are run there are run really well. Tim is leaving Element, unfortunately, to go off and pursue a job that does not take up all of his weekends, constantly. So yeah, good luck to Tim. But I'm sure the quality of the events will stay the same. It's a brilliant venue. It's got a bar with a really, really nice mango cider behind it. I think it's mango, but it's amazing. It's really good. So yeah, any element events, guys. If you haven't been to one, you should definitely jump on and buy a ticket. They're really good. So yeah, so that was it. The list, I can't see changing a massive amount, to be totally honest with you. Although Ryan has maybe tempted me into that, because I know there's also a strat in that detachment that he was talking about that halves a unit's movement, which is really good. I mean, I use Thunderfire cannons quite a lot in my Space Marine lists, just because that can win games. That when you're ruling an enemy unit out of out of doing anything for a whole turn, it's game winning. So I'm pretty sure there is a strat in that detachment that does that. So that, combined with all the things that Ryan's just said, could actually tempt me into that. That sounds really good. So yeah, guys, you really need to read up on Vigilus, because a lot of people are. I wasn't expecting to see that much of it on the weekend, and 2 of the games I had were just full of Vigilus formations, and one I got lucky to get first turn. I think if I hadn't got first turn, I really would have learned a hard lesson from Vigilus. So if you go into tournaments, make sure you get the book, make sure you read up on them, because they are out there. Matt, did you see any surprises relevant to the new missions? The new missions I thought were really good. I really liked them. The one thing that also kind of took me by surprise is that now that they're taking away the alternate deployment. So what Tim did is he said that you roll off, the winner chooses deployment zone, the other person deploys their entire army and then decides who goes first or second. That's absolutely massive in the game, and I think it makes it a lot better. It was really, really good. But also as well, it's got me kind of thinking about lists. Lists that I didn't really kind of rate before. But knowing that that's gonna, whether you're gonna go first or second, is huge. It takes you back to 7th, where you can deploy defensively. You can measure off people's deployments and try and null deploy certain units, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really good, and I have to admit, I think Tim saying that just happens no matter what the primary mission is. That just happens all the time. I think that was a really good move by Tim, and I think I'm really tempted to do that in St George's Champion in April, because I just think it's good for the game. I think it's great, and like I said, it got me thinking about lists that I hadn't thought about in a long time, making them possible. Like, it's a big boost to, I remember Steve was saying that it's a big boost to Blood Angels with the Death Company. So kind of sticking your Death Company on the line and then going, oh, I hope I win the roll-off to go first. That's a bit of a mugs game, isn't it, really? But if you know you're going to go first, apart from if the opponent rolls a 6 to seize, so you can deploy your Death Company on the line, and then you use that stratagem to move them 12 inches before the game. I think you move and advance them. It just says you move, as it's a movement phase. So you move and advance them, then you move them, and then you start charging. That's a huge threat range, and that makes Death Company absolutely awesome. So like just little things like that, maybe even Tau, being able to null deploy things, being able to play aggressively with Tau, because if you know you're going to get the first turn, you can push up a little more, Monk car up into the middle of the board then. Just really good. I think that mechanic of knowing whether you're going to go first or second apart from the Cs actually makes the Cs relevant now as well. Works really well with the fortified positions where you get the +1 save. It just works well with it, because because even then you go, okay, my opponent's null deployed me, so I'm going to let him go first, and I'm going to use fortified positions, because they've also made the bottom of turn really important. So it makes going second really good. Like a genuine, like I found in a lot of games I've been having recently, I've wanted to go second, which is kind of turned eighth right on its head. So I think it was absolutely brilliant, and I'm learning all these things with the new missions, that are just they're really kind of pulling me back into the game of it a bit more, and I'm really enjoying it. I have to admit, it doesn't seem so dependent on initial dice rolls or anything like that. I'm having really good games at the moment. I'm absolutely loving it. So I think they've done a really good job with the new missions, Matt. It's great. You say it only works on infantry keyword. Oh, what's this? Is that the fortified positions? Is that what you mean? Because it isn't. It's anything but Titanic. So what's great with the fortified positions with the army that I've got is I put the relic on my knight to give him a 2+ save, and then everything else apart from the guard have a 2+ save as well. The Dark Talons, the Tank Commanders, the little Warglaves, because they haven't got the Titanic keyword, all got a 2+ save. Really, really good. Let's have a look. Just like AOS, Luke. Yeah, I know you've been telling me that AOS is the better game. I know with every release they make it more and more similar to AOS, but I love laser guns, mate. I love laser guns and I love tanks. How is that? How are bow and arrows and horses better than laser guns and tanks? It's just, they're never going to win, mate. I think any redeployabilities become priceless. Yes, definitely, Jason. Well, and Matt said afterwards, Eldar get a boost with the Phantasm 3 deploy. That Phantasm really needs changing, I think. When I was playing Eldar, whoever was getting the +1, I would either put my spears on the front, or if they were getting the +1, I would put my spears at the back, and then if anything went any different, you could just redeploy them, and it just seems a bit seems a bit silly with the spears, with that movement, and even the Reapers, you chuck a wave serpent forward then, and they move forward, shoot, jump behind a piece of terrain. And yeah, Phantasm is a bit silly purely because you do it after the roll to see who's going to go first, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I agree. Phantasm, Eldar just get a boost. They always get a boost because it's Eldar. Chaos Dark Crystal. Oh, Matt, how do you, mate? You're right. Didn't see you in the chat there. Yeah, you were telling me that the Dark Crystal thing got you. And it's true. Anything that kind of lets you do something turn 1 now is big. It is really big. Matt Judge. No, the Vigilant. Oh, the Vigilant strat to halve movement. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. The strat to halve movement only works in infantry. Yeah. So that's exactly the same as. No, I think the Space Marine Tech Marine one doesn't affect Fly or Titanic, but I mean, it's infantry really that you want to keep back, like orcs. Imagine just taking a 30-man unit of orc boys and just going, no, you're out the game now. Well, not out the game. You're out the game for the next turn. To take 30 orc boys out the game is huge. Poxwalkers, sit them back. The chaos cultists that are coming up the board and are just having all those buffs and taking them out. And it's really good. And even when you're talking about objectives and stuff, if people are running towards objectives at the end of the game, to just kind of stop them, and you're taking options away from your opponent, which is always a good thing. I think it's great, and I think if you were to actually use it in game, you'd realise how good it is. It doesn't sound as good on paper as it actually is. It's a great strat, and really kind of, because your opponent knows it's there as well, so they're always thinking, so they're then having to overcommit with everything if they need to. So and anything that makes your opponent think or takes options away from them is a good thing. So definitely try and use it. But I think I've waffled on for ages now. Like nearly 45 minutes. I've been going on. and chatting rubbish. So yeah, guys, I've learned a lot from this. I don't know about you, but you guys in chat have been absolutely awesome. I hope you've learned a lot. Hopefully I've shared some knowledge that can get you prepared. But the one thing that I've said out of all of it, please, I'll see you guys on Friday for Open the Vaults. We'll be getting some guests on there talking about their Cali lists. Manny will be joining me as well. Hopefully we'll have finished the new Glasshammer shop. So I'll take some pictures and show you guys what it looks like. We'll be getting people down. We'll be streaming games, filming battle reports. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really good. So yeah, I will see you guys on Friday, and hopefully in a live stream or a battle report on the weekend as well. So guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye bye.